What's going on, Jets fans? Welcome into the Jets Report. Coming up on today's show, we're going to be discussing the latest trade rumors around the New York Jets. Adam Schefter dropped a bombshell article before the NFL trade deadline, and a couple of key players on the Jets were listed. So we'll talk about that. But before we do so, if you guys could hit that subscribe button today. It's going to be a hectic time as a Jets fan here as the NFL trade deadline is approaching, and the Jets might be big time sellers. So you guys got to make sure you have hit that subscribe button. We just need 170 more subs to reach 10.5K here on the channel. I really do appreciate the support as of late. But if you guys are new here, haven't found us yet on YouTube, hit that subscribe button today and let's dive into it. All right, so Adam Schefter dropped this report recently saying sources expect an active NFL trade market ahead of the deadline. Now, we have seen over the last couple of years the NFL trade deadline has honestly felt like the NBA trade deadline, where there's a ton of moving pieces. A lot of these teams view themselves as contenders and they want to get themselves better on the margin. And then also a lot of these losing teams, like the Jets, for example, sitting at 0-6, they're trying to sell off a lot of their players and just try to accumulate more draft capital and build for the future. So I agree with Schefter here. I expect to be a crazy NFL trade deadline. And obviously the Jets will be sellers. Like, they're in no position to be buyers. They already made a couple of trades, before the season, acquiring Juwan Briggs, Harrison Phillips, made that trade for Jarvis Brownlee Jr. Trying to see all three of those moves seem like positive moves as it stands right now. But the Jets will obviously be sellers, and the number one guy that is most likely to be dealt, and really I think the only player that will be dealt at the NFL trade deadline, it's got to be running back Breece Hall. Now, we'll dive into four other names here throughout the show, but starting off here with Breece. Now, Breece Hall, he's a pretty damn good running back. I think he's about top 20 in the league, if not top 15. And, Breece Hall, he has been kind of getting a little cryptic lately. He posted this on Instagram. It was just a collage, a bunch of photos from him throughout the season. But you guys see at the bottom here, he put a hashtag free 20. Now, I don't know if this is kind of his tagline where he's been using this for a lot of, a lot of his life. Maybe he just wants to football more, but I'm going to read this as, he wants to potentially go somewhere else and go play for a true contender. Now, Breece Hall is also a very self-aware player. He understands running back shelf life in the NFL is super, super small compared to other positions. And this is what Breece Hall had to say, saying, I'm worried about winning football games. I'm not worried about having fun right now. I'm in my fourth year, and I don't have a lot of time left to prove what I want to do and who I can be in this league. At the end of the day, all the outside stuff is cool, but I'm worried about winning games and cementing myself, my teammates, and my coaches. Now, obviously, Breece Hall would never come out and flatly say, like, I want to be traded. That very rarely happens, especially during the season in the NFL. Now, obviously, players can request a trade during the offseason, but it's, like I said, very rare that guys request a trade mid-season. But I promise you, Breece Hall, he wouldn't be upset if he got dealt at the NFL trade deadline because, like he said, the shelf life for an NFL running back is incredibly thin. And, does he want, his prime of his NFL career to be wasted on an 0-6 football team, or does he want to go to a true contender and have some big-time moments in the playoffs? Like, I'm sure if you ask Breece Hall behind closed doors, he would say, yeah, I would love to be traded to maybe one of these five teams. Now, obviously, the Arizona Cardinals, not a contender, but they had some injuries at the running back position, so maybe they could be calling, getting that running back of the future with Kyler Murray, but I think that's unlikely. But I think the two teams at the top are the teams that are most likely to acquire Breece Hall. Kansas City Chiefs, obviously, they need some more juice on that offense. They need a more consistent running game. Patrick Mahomes has been fantastic. He looks like his 2022 self, but they could obviously use some more juice. Amari and Hampton, he's on short-term IR for the Chargers. Now, the Buffalo Bills, I don't really think they would have too much interest. They were listed as a destination versus CBS, but I do think another team in the AFC East could be the New England Patriots. Now, again, we very rarely see interdivisional trades go down in the NFL, but it could definitely happen if the price is right. So I could expect the Patriots to be involved, and then same with the Houston Texans. Joe Mixon most likely out for the year. Nick Chubb, not the same guy as he once was with the Cleveland Browns. So all five of these teams, I think, could be calling. And listen, the Jets aren't going to give Breece Hall an extension. Like, we can all just call it like it is. He will be on another team, next year no matter what. So there is no excuse not to trade him. Like, you clearly have two other running backs that are both young, still on the rookie deals, and Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis that you really like. So why not try to get a fifth-round pick for Breece Hall? Even if a team gets desperate, they could potentially offer you a third. But the asking price, at least what it's being reported for Breece, is most likely a fifth-round pick. Now, if there's a bidding war between two teams, maybe the Jets could swing a fourth, but I think most likely it will be Breece Hall for a fifth-round pick. I'm going to call my shot. I think the Kansas City Chiefs trade for him, add some more juice to that offense. Obviously, speed always kills with the Andy Reid system. So I could see number 20 heading to Kansas City, but maybe you guys disagree with me. Maybe you want to keep Breece Hall for the future. What say you on this one? Would you trade Breece Hall? Give me a T for trade. Give me a P for pass down below in the comment section. I'm doing it. Try to get more draft capital. This roster is very far away from, just being a contender, being a playoff contender. So I would move off them. But you guys let me know your thoughts. T for trade, P for pass. Now, another guy that was listed in this Adam Schefter article was actually Allen Lazard, funny enough. Now, Allen Lazard obviously hasn't done much with the New York Jets. He did take that pay cut to return to New York, but honestly, the only team that is going to call about Allen Lazard is obviously the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, maybe another team that I'm not thinking about could potentially call for Lazard, but I think it's going to be Pittsburgh. Has that connection with Aaron Rodgers. They need that second, third wide receiver, and I think he would be a solid option. Has a good connection with A-Rod. So I could see the Pittsburgh Steelers calling. And again, this could be a 6th, 7th round pick swap for the Jets and the Steelers. You won't get a lot for Allen Lazard, but probably the craziest name that was mentioned by Adam Schefter as a trade target, Tony Adams. Tony Adams was listed on this list, and it was funny. You go down on this list, and it's just like a bunch of marquee players in the NFL, and then right at the bottom, he tried to throw in Tony Adams. And listen, whatever Adam Schefter is smoking, give me a hit, because I am totally stunned that he listed Tony Adams as a trade candidate, because I've been obviously watching the Jets this whole season. I think he is the worst starter in the National Football League. But obviously now with Malachi Moore playing more than Tony Adams over the last couple of weeks, maybe that's what Schefter was thinking, where the Jets have the rookie that they want him to play more, and maybe they could somehow get a draft pick for Tony Adams. I don't know what team would trade a draft pick for Tony, but maybe he ends up getting dealt. If you could get a 7th round pick for Tony Adams, that is an auto trade for Darren Mougey. But I was just kind of stunned that Adam Schefter listed him as a trade candidate for the Jets. But we'll talk about two marquee names on the Jets defense here in a second. But before we do so, I got to give a massive shout out to today's presenting sponsor, that being Prize Picks. Now, you and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. So don't miss any excitement this football season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. If you guys download the Prize Picks app today, plug in promo code CLNS. We'll hook you guys up with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks is the only app that now offers stacks, meaning you can pick up to the same player 3 times in the same lineup. If you guys want to pick more on Josh Allen's pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns, now you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. They also have another new feature, and it's the Feed tab, where you guys can follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click, whether it's a friend, celebrity, or someone whose picks you like. Hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new Feed tab on Prize Picks. So download the Prize Picks app today. Plug in promo code CLNS. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. A massive shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. Prize Picks. It is good to be right. All right, let's dive into 2 other names here. And these are going to be marquee names that I don't really feel like have a good chance of getting traded, but teams will definitely be calling. And the first guy we're going to talk about here is Jermaine Johnson, edge rusher. Now, I think the team that is probably going to be calling about him got to be the San Francisco 49ers. They're 4-2. The NFC is completely wide open. And in terms of the Jets, if they would have any interest in trading Jermaine, I don't think they would. I think it would have to take a haul. Like, I'm talking a first-round pick and probably a day 2 pick to get this deal done. And I also just don't think a team would be willing to offer that, considering his injury history. And then you would also have to pay Jermaine Johnson, the following offseason. At least you would plan to. He does have that 5th-year team option. So he would be under team control for the rest of this season and the next year, which would have some interest from another team. But if there's any team that's going to be calling, it will be the San Francisco 49ers. Obviously, they lost Nick Bosa for the year. The NFC is completely wide open and, already has that connection with Robert Saleh. So I could see the San Francisco Niners maybe getting aggressive here and trying to acquire a guy like Jermaine Johnson, because also what is so advantageous for a team trading for Jermaine, he's still on his rookie deal. So you can make that contract work for this season, and then the problem of it paying him, you can figure that out the following offseason. But just watch out for the Niners and honestly a lot of other teams, because I will say, I think the Jets are more likely to trade, an edge rusher, a corner or defensive tackle compared to any offensive lineman, because even though they don't have their young franchise quarterback just yet, maybe they'll draft one next year, even though I think that's unlikely. But you still want to have good protection up front. That's why we rarely see offensive linemen get traded. But the edge rusher position, it's pretty damn replaceable. So maybe the Jets could consider a 1st and a 3rd for Jermaine. But I think that's also incredibly unlikely. Now, another guy that could get traded, again, I think it's very unlikely, but Quinnen Williams. Now, I'm not saying Quinnen would ever request a trade publicly, but maybe he hits up Darren Mougey and says, hey, I am in the prime of my career. I don't know how many really dominant years I have left. Let me go try to play for a contender. And listen, Quinnen by far is the most valuable asset the Jets have. Like if you put anybody on the trade market, Quinnen Williams is number one by a wide margin, even over a guy like Jermaine Johnson. So if the Jets truly do want to reset this roster, this is a move they would have to consider. But I wouldn't do it. Like Quinnen and Jermaine are two guys, even though the Jets are 0-6 right now, not playing good football. Those are two guys you could build around for the future. So just keep your eyes out on that. I mean, I'm sure Connor Hughes, he put out an article saying that a lot of teams are going to be calling about Jermaine Johnson. Haven't heard anything on the Quinnen Williams front, but, I mean, if you're Quinnen, do you really want to just ride out this year playing for an 0-6 team, or do you want to go play for a contender? Because this guy's a dog. He's in the prime of his career. He's a hell of a player. He's one of the best defensive tackles in the league, and that position is so valuable, especially once postseason time comes around. So I could see Jermaine and Quinnen, not obviously – wanting to get traded, but, these guys are probably sick and tired of playing, losing football here with the New York Jets. So if you guys made it to the end of today's show, we appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. And if you guys did watch this entire thing, just hit me with the Go Jets down below in the comment section. See you guys next time. As always, Go Jets.